the most dangerous situation you ever found yourself in?
Being able to watch the Paul Orndorff and Vader fight.
Oh, you were in the locker room that day, were you?
Oh, it's center stage. You know, the old rock and roll stage in Atlanta is where it happened. And it was early, and I'll never forget this, James. We were sitting up in the chair because there was no fans. It wasn't even ready. You know, no fans were in there. And we heard this building shake. I mean, we didn't know what it was, a freaking earthquake. And so we ran down the little ramp. And that's when I got there like a split second later when Orndorff had already hit Vader. And here's what was so amazing. They get into it again, James. And all of a sudden, here comes Ric Flair. And everybody's saying, oh, now it'll stop. Like, here's the man. And Ric's walking. He said, excuse me, guys. And walks right by him. And he keeps going down the hall. I'm thinking, what? But it was over so quick. I remember everybody was saying Eric Bishop's coming down to see what just happened. And Vader's face, I mean, like I said, I got there a split second later and his face was swollen. And he put his head down in a big bucket of cold water, you know, trying not to look obvious. But you know what impressed me about Paul Orndorff that night? Mm-hmm. All the agents, you know, they always carried a rolled up sheet of paper. And Paul Orndorff never dropped. He never dropped that sheet of paper. And you know what I told him later? He never cussed one time. In the middle of that ruckus. And Paul Orndorff had flip-flops on. But it was just, and you know, the one arm was messed up. So imagine if he'd have had both arms. But everybody, you know, I've heard stories. It was funny later, Bill Apter wanted to know my side of the story right after it happened. And a lot of the boys said, George, I don't know if I tell that, you know, Vader. And I said, no, listen, I got to tell it. I mean, it was like the greatest, but I've heard stories. It didn't last long at all. So to see that, and I've seen guys getting ruckuses, you know, in the dressing room and think they're tough, and when they realize they wasn't, you know, but to be there to see that and how we all thought, man, what the heck did Paul Orndorff do to him? But you know what's funny? I always loved Vader. He was just a big bully. I was there the night he broke Joe Thurman's back. Yeah. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And, you know, he choke slammed Joe Thurman. I remember when I walked into TV that afternoon, James, I look over there and Joe Thurman's sitting here. Nobody knew him. He's a young kid. He was in a suit. I thought he was there to sell us insurance. I looked over at Jody Hamilton and I said, I ain't buying nothing. And Jody said, no, this is the new kid, Joe Thurman. So we all introduced him. Nicest guy in the world. So Vader chokeslammed him, knocked him out. There was no need for no powerbomb. Then he powerbombed him. And what a lot of fans don't know, James, is they shut down TV. They couldn't get him out of the ring. You can't, a guy with a broke back, you can't just tell him to get out. So they took the ropes off to bring Joe Thurman out. But James, I saw a paramedic take a needle this big because he was saying he couldn't feel nothing. And they shoved it in his hip and he didn't move. He didn't move. There was no response at all. But I remember they brought Vader back. Vader's crying. Harley Race went over to him and told him to shut up. I mean, Harley said, I'm going to tell you something right now. He said this, it was managing Vader. He said, I'm going to tell you something. He said, you may break my back. And he said, it may take me a lifetime. But Harley said, I'm going to kill you. I mean, Harley's telling him that. And he told Vader, he said, wipe those tears away. He said, you're just going to hurt somebody else. I thought, dang, that was the night it happened. Now, you know what's amazing? I've heard Joe Thurman is, I don't know if he's 100%, but I've heard he's like overcome a lot of that now. Of course, not wrestling, but that was, and I ain't, you know, people ask, I don't think Joe Thurman should even have been in the ring, but you know, but you take somebody could have went out there with Joe Thurman and had a decent little match too. So
yeah,
that was rough.
Yeah. I heard that certain enhancement guys would be brought in, see their name was opposite Vader, and then just get their stuff and leave.
Yeah.
They'd rather,
WWF, they used to have, probably still do, they used to have an old-fashioned chalkboard, just an old-fashioned chalkboard, and not a eraser board. It was chalkboard, and they would write out the matches. And I remember all of us underneath guys, we couldn't wait to look and say, pray, please don't let it be Ultimate Warrior. Please don't let it be Ultimate Warrior. But when you saw Honky Tonk Man, oh my goodness, man, I went up to him first time and introduced myself. He said, we're working today. He's on TV. He said, this is the easiest money you're ever going to make. Man, and it was too. Man, I'd work him right now. What an amazing difference. But man, if you, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, James, if you saw your name against Warrior, that was going to happen at 8 o'clock that night, what a miserable day.
Yeah.
You couldn't eat nothing. You didn't want to talk to nobody. You just, oh gosh.